All right. Welcome into On the Clock NFL Draft Show, episode number 19. This is the 2024 NFL Mock Draft Part 2. So this is the first version that we will do of any 2024 NFL Draft Mock Draft, but this is the second part of the first version. And I am here this evening with my guys who are ripping and roaring and ready to discuss some draft prospects and make some selections. I'm going to start with the guy next to me, Mr. KT. This is the governor of college football at Leverett_KT. KT, what's cooking?
What's happening, man? I get to see my guys. I'm excited that it's Thursday again. Excited for this episode, but next week's recap episodes we get a chance to dig at each other a little bit. I can't wait for that. But I'm excited to finish the second half of the draft. Got the Bills gear on. Definitely about to be in my Brandon Bean mode when it's time for that pick. So I'm excited for today's show.
Hell yeah, I love it. And beneath me, this is the mayor of college football, Mr. Nino Brown at Nino Brown_T2T. What's happening?
Oh, man, I can't wait for this one. It's exciting. People already got their picks in. We haven't even started the show. I got Boomer talking smack to me in the green room. The four of us on screen together. Get your popcorn ready. Let's get it.
Hell yeah, and he already introduced him. This Boomer is nonstop NFL draft action, IDP action. That's my guy, Jared Gray, at Jared Gray on the Twitter. What's cooking?
What's good? I appreciate it. I'm going to try to not get Nino to get out of his chair and leave the screen this week. I kept a straight face the whole time. If you haven't seen that, go check last week's episode. It's going to be pretty awesome. I'm going to have to clip that one for sure.
Yeah, and what he's talking about. So if you are listening to this and if you're new to the show, last week, episode number 18, we completed the first half of the NFL Draft Mock Draft. We're going to read through the selections before we start the second part, but we're not going to give any analysis. The analysis is there in episode number 18, so you're going to want to go back and check that out. Guys, things are crazy. Things are busy. Like, we are taking off. Like, we are linked up with the CFB Nation, right? We are walking stride for stride with each other. Like, constantly up to date with what you guys got going on over there. And I mean, I'm a part of CFB Nation too. I'm working on the Armory, all that content there. And, things are taking off there at Toilets to Titles with the network. We got new shows every day. We're about to air Lambeau Speak. We got Duval Against Y'all coming out next week. We got NFL team breakdowns on top of Head to Head, On the Clock, Toilets to Titles. We might have something else in the works coming up in the next few weeks. That's a little bit of a teaser. And right now, I'd say we are in the business of creating, producing, and giving to you, the viewer and the listener, content, NFL content. And KT, CFB Nation, like, in the business of giving you college football content. And we take pride in what we do. And right now, business is booming. Okay, like, we are in that business, and business is booming. If you're jumping on board right now, you're coming on at a great time, because you do not need to go anywhere else. Promise you that. We got you covered top to bottom, from like high school prospects to Hall of Famers, right? We're dropping shorts on Steve Smith giving his roses to Mushin Muhammad. So those you old heads, and it's crazy we're saying old heads, like, he's retired. We're really not that old, but maybe to some younger guys we are. But like, you guys who grew up like me with Steve Smith Sr., you get to see this, like, absolutely incredible. So we have you covered. But KT, I'm going to give you the floor for a second. Let everybody know what they can expect from the CFB Nation over the next few days.
We got a lot of exciting content. Nino has just been going crazy. Today he released some top quarterback release rankings, and we're going to do a roundtable at some point to kind of talk about, each and everybody's pick. Also, those top 25 rankings are coming out soon. I can't wait for the round table like that. And they lucky it ain't in person, because I had to put on the gloves. Me, Boom, and me, Nino, me, Moon, and me and D now might have to go. Well, I can't hit D now, the string puller, so I can't hit him, but I can hit everybody else.
D now's gimpy. He got the bad elbow now.
Yeah, we got lead. Yeah.
What I loved about seeing the rankings, because go check out CFB Nation on the Twitter, check out Toilets to Titles on the Twitter, nonstop content. What I loved, like, it's not just podcast content, like just nonstop content. What I loved about seeing those rankings is how genuine you could tell they were, because they were all different.
Yeah.
Neither one of you was like, oh, I want to be like that guy. I want to be, no, like, each and I respect that, because we all see things differently. And that's the beauty of this process. And for the most part, we don't really find out who's correct until like down the road somewhere. And then by that time, a lot of stuff has changed. So I love checking those out. I love seeing how different they are. So go check those out on the CFB Nation. I want to recap the draft from last week before we get into anything else. If you're watching on YouTube, it'd be greatly appreciated. Subscribe, comment, like, stay tuned with us, hit the bell. But the draft last week went as follows. Shane Hallam, shout out to draftcountdown.com. I used the draft order he used for his latest mock draft, so you can go check it out on there as well, draftcountdown.com. 2024, 2025, 2026. He's got his rankings for like each year. So this dude, he knows his stuff. So you want to get with him as well. But the Arizona Cardinals, Nino selected Caleb Williams. They were on the clock at 2 from the Houston Texans. That pick they traded, it was Nino again. Took Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State. Number 3, Indianapolis Colts. I took Olomoyua Fashanu. I think I pronounced that correctly. Offensive tackle, Penn State. KT was on the clock at 4 for the Tennessee Titans. Took Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. Jarod was on the clock for his first selection, pick number 5 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Took Joe Alt, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. Then Los Angeles Rams was Nino. He took Dallas Turner, the edge out of Alabama. Washington Commanders, I was on the clock. I took Drake May, the quarterback out of North Carolina. KT picked for the Bears at 8 with JT Tuamalo, defensive tackle, Ohio State. Jarod back on the clock at 9 for the Atlanta Falcons. Took Jared Verse, the edge of Florida State. With the 10th pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I selected Mika Igbukwe, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Chicago Bears was KT at 11 to Kool-Aid McKinstry. Jarod was with the Raiders at 12 to Cole Bishop, safety, Utah. The Seattle Seahawks at 13, KT took Bo Nix, quarterback out of Georgia. Nino was on the clock for the New England Patriots at 14, took Chop Robinson, defensive tackle, Penn State, great name. Pick 15, I was on the clock for the Green Bay Packers, took J.C. Latham, offensive tackle, Alabama. And then finally, the Denver Broncos were on the clock. It was Jared Gray. He took Brady Price, edge out of Washington, after kind of giving us all a run for his money. You'll have to go back. That's a teaser. You got to go back and watch the last episode if you want to see what that was all about. And that ended the first half of the draft. What are you guys' thoughts? How do we feel?
I mean, I just realized I got back-to-back picks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at me. I set you up, man. But then I set
was
myself
ready.
up.
I feel like the Texans were right for me in this pick, to be honest with you. I mean, last week was a lot of fun. It was very hard for me to keep a straight face because I have this thing. I like to mess with Nino as much as possible. I like to push him down the rabbit hole on numerous things just so I can see what he'll do. But to get him to do what he did last week, please just go watch that episode. It's absolutely hilarious. If we were playing we're playing a board game together, he'd have flipped the board game.
Oh yeah,
over with.
Done. Took my pieces and walked away.
Monopoly is just
flipping board games, though. That's normal, right? We've all done that before.
Yeah.
Right. I'm guilty. I've done it with my kids playing Sorry. Like, oh yeah, dude, I'm bad. That's my wife. But hey, we're going to start with pick 17. Before we do, if you want to support the team, patreon.com/titles. We added a new tier. Tier 1 is now $1.50. It gets you into Frankenstein, guaranteed. So we used to have that at like tier 3 or tier 4. You're guaranteed Frankenstein entry, which you want to stay tuned. Toilets Titles, episode 180, I believe. It's Tuesday night. Who cares if I got the number right? I might not have it right, but it's the Frankenstein episode. You want to get in there. We have about 40 spots available, and there's already like 70 teams already in there. Tier 1, $1.50 gets you into Frankenstein while supplies last. It gets you a lanyard. So sign up, and if you want to give us some more, there's other tiers with more things available. You can check it out, patreon.com/toilets-titles. And if you want to have access to us and chat with us, reach out to me on Twitter at Coach Sheps. I will get you into our Gilded Chat, which has over 125 members, and we are nonstop talking NFL draft, fantasy football, college football, whatever, because we got the CFB Nation in there as well, so we can link you up with them. So we got all the content you're looking for, so we can just talk football all the time, man, because what's better than that? So, Jarod, let's kick this thing off. Pick number 17, Houston Texans from Cleveland. Go ahead.
Houston Texans from Cleveland. Let's do something that Cleveland doesn't do and get a good linebacker. So we're going to go use that pick right for the Texans, and we're going to go get Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And upset everybody because you were hoping he would drop, but my man needs a stud linebacker with all his old heads in there. You know, he's got too many veterans. He needs a young buck, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. pedigree. We preach this all the time. Phenomenal pick for them, I think. If he can get 2 D'Amico Ryans, it's over. Just let's call it done.
He's like a hybrid. I don't think there's any linebacker in this class like Jeremiah Trotter.
Best linebacker in the class, hands down.
I mean, like last in 2023, I don't think there's any. I don't think there's anybody. I think there's talented linebackers, but I don't think there's anybody like him. Like he could drop into coverage. He's got good zone drops, and he'll knock your lights out.
Oh, he gets down there quick too.
Yeah, like he will knock. He is the old school linebacker. You never have to take him off the field. He can be
I feel like you can take the best out of Campbell and the best out of Deion Henley, and that's what you got out of Jeremiah Trotter. The best out of each one of them.
He's better than Simpson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Think about that defense though last year with Murphy, Bressie, Simpson,
KJ
Trotter.
Henry.
All right, I was upset. I was hoping he'd be there for Dallas.
You got Overshown, right? You're good.
Yeah. Oh well, I think right now he's gonna. You know what? I wouldn't. I mean, this isn't the Cowboys show, but I wouldn't be surprised you see him take Jaron Kearse's role next year in our three-headed monster at safety, because I think Dan Quinn likes him there because he came to Texas as a 4-star safety, converted to linebacker as a sophomore.
Yeah, he likes to play in space, like where he is.
Yeah. All right. Who doesn't like space? Space is a great place.
Oh,
right.
sorry.
KT, you're on the clock for the Jacksonville Jaguars at 18.
This is interesting because I feel like they can utilize an interior defensive lineman. Mason Smith is still on the board. Michael Hall Jr. is still on the board. Jason Newton is still on the board. But I'm going to go cornerback. And I'm hoping that this guy can make some plays on the defensive side of the ball for the Buckeyes this year. And that's one cornerback, Denzel Burke. Like I said, I feel like the Jaguars can certainly use some interior defensive line help. But getting Denzel Burke here, I'm comfortable with that pick.
They keep shoring up that defense. I mean, Jacksonville, they had a first-round corner to what that pass rush is going to be nasty. The linebackers are getting better. They already got a decent corner on the other side. They got some safeties who can play. Jacksonville's becoming very well-rounded. You know, I don't know how elite they are. They have an elite quarterback, I think, or somebody who will be, but I like that selection. So I'm on the clock at pick 19 for the Minnesota Vikings. And I mocked for them a few times this year. And a few times this year, I thought they'd take a quarterback. And they didn't. I still think they need a quarterback. They brought in a young wide receiver in Jordan Addison last year. They have a decent offensive line. They could probably use an offensive tackle. But I'm going to pull the trigger. And you guys, I looked at all the rankings this week from CFB Nation, Quinn Ewers. Like, I see him up. I see him. Sometimes he's in the top. Jared has him at 3, right? So Jared has him as his 3rd quarterback. And right now he's the 4th quarterback off the board. So I'm going to take Quinn Ewers, University of Texas quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings.
I just got sniped straight from 100 yards out. Sniped. Bang.
I think Nino was talking smack about him so he could get him later.
So I thought he was shaking his head because he thought it was a bad pick, and now I find out he was interested. So, well, there was somebody else I was considering taking who's also on the offensive side of the ball. You might have been more upset because I know he's your guy as well. So I'm not gonna. You can read the tea leaves and kind of try to consider who I was thinking, but you're on the clock for the New York Giants.
So I was going Quinn Ewers. I feel like it was just the way to go for the Giants here. Like, they've gone defense the last couple of years. They just went Banks at the cornerback position to Sherp, go younger in the secondary. The O-line's not bad. They got that question at running back, right? But Daniel Jones is only really a dead cap hit for 2 years. I see Boomer with his eyes up, but I don't know if Eric Gray is the workhorse guy. I think Eric Gray is going to need a guy with him. Okay. But the quarterback position is that main position, and running backs in the first round, is that a thing? But the Giants have taken running backs in the first round. Like, Saquon went in the first round to the Giants, but I don't know if this class has a gentleman that is of Saquon Barkley's talent. So I'm going to go with my original position. I'm going to go quarterback. Yes. And I'm going to take Michael Penix Jr.
Oof.
New York Giants.
Oof.
All right, so Michael, we got 4 quarterbacks in the first round right here.
Can't wait till the recap show right now.
Oh, 5. There's 5. So there's 5. We've had
That's
Drake
fine.
May, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Quinn Ewers, and Michael Penix Jr. in the top 20.
That's crazy.
All right, so if you play in Dynasty Superflex leagues, it's time for you to trade away this year's pick so you can get some quarterbacks next year because there's going to be a few coming out in the first round. Jarrett, you're on the clock for the New Orleans Saints at pick 21.
This is a real tough one for me because I feel like they really need a safety, and I really feel like they need an offensive lineman. I just don't trust certain guys in certain spots. I feel like they've gotten so young at wide receiver, and they've done a really good job at that. That's the one thing I can say. I'm still in between here because I really didn't think both safeties would be available to me. So I think Andrew Mukumba, if he's on the board still and with the help that they need at safety, I think he's the guy. I think, which is crazy because I just picked 2 Clemson players back to back. But
he might be the best safety in the class.
He's an absolute dude.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have the best linebacker in the class and probably the best safety in the class.
They both knocked the snot out of you.
Yeah, at Clemson. But the thing is, they don't have a transfer portal, so there won't be anything after that.
But they have probably one of the top 10 easiest schedules in college football.
Agreed.
Like they could run the table without even putting a drop of sweat in the bucket.
That's a P2P talk for sure.
Yeah, and
so I got Andrew Mukumba. There's no M in there.
It's Kuba. It's Kuba. It's
Mukumba.
Yeah, Mukumba. Yeah.
So let's go Andrew Mukumba out of safety out of Clemson. I think it's a really good pick.
I like it. The safety's off the board. It's nice to see a safety in the first round. That's where they belong, especially if they can affect the game there. KT, you're on the clock for the Miami Dolphins at pick 22. Don't sabotage them because you're a Bills fan. You got to be honest here.
No, that's not really about pedigree. If I got to pick for him, I'm a pick for him. I think the obvious answer here is offensive line. And now you got to start to weigh like some of the teams had to do in this year's draft. Are you going to take an interior offensive lineman because you really need one, even though the value isn't where it should be? Because, a lot of these guys are probably top second round pick at the moment, second round guys. But I feel like Miami Dolphins don't have a lot of holes, but I think they really need to attack the interior offensive lineman. I'm going to go with Donovan Jackson, guard. Well, he's an interior offensive lineman, Ohio State.
All right.
I like it.
Ohio State. We got 2 Ohio State players picked so far tonight. We got 2 Clemson players picked tonight. I'm on the clock for the LA Chargers. Now, the LA Chargers, I like their secondary. I like their, the linebackers are okay. I like their edge defenders. They play the 3-4. I think what the Chargers need is a strong, if you look at their depth chart, what they have, their 3-4 defensive ends are below average. And there's a player out of LSU, Mason Smith, 6'6", 310 pounds, freshman All-American. Last year hurt his knee week 1. 4 sacks as a freshman, playing interior defensive line, but I think you could bump him out. He's a D tackle, but I think you could bump him out to 3-4 defensive end, give him some space, and have a guy like Joey Bosa coming off the edge. It's either Mason Smith's going to have a chance to penetrate, Bosa's going to have a chance to penetrate, and supposedly the word out of LSU is he's one of the hardest workers on the team. They expected him to lead the defense as a sophomore until he hurt his knee. So I'm taking Mason Smith, and I'm bulking up that defensive side of the football. So, Nino, you're on the clock for the Baltimore Ravens.
The Ravens. The Ravens are known for just, always going defense when they don't know what they're going to do, right? But this year, they addressed the issues that needed. They got Zay at the wide receiver position. They brought Odell in, so they got some pieces. Odell's obviously a 1-year deal, so they could go another wide receiver here. Obviously not going quarterback. Lamar's locked up for 5 years. Andrews is there. His contract, is coming around. So, but Isaiah Likely's there. They just signed Rock Yassin at the, DB position.
Why does he go everywhere? He's a good player.
He was a dude in Indy.
There's some people. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
That's okay.
There are some people in the NFL that get traded. Like he wasn't even traded. Like he's let go. They let him.
They cut him. Yeah.
What is going on? The dude can play.
I think he played on 2 teams last year, right?
I think he's been on 3 altogether.
Yeah, it was just 2 last year alone.
Yeah.
I think he started out with 1, played a couple games, they cut him, he picked up another team. But they locked him up to go on the other side with, they just drafted Kai Blue Kelly, so they got youth there. Rock Ya-Sin isn't very old at all. He's only been in league 3 years, 4 years, or 2 years, I think, actually, to be honest with you.
I want to say 3 or 4.
All right, so this youth, they got youth at the DB position. Hamilton, the safety position, is young. And Marlon Humphreys is your vet, but he's not too old. So I think the secondary is good. I think they need to go up front. I think they need some help up front. Ronnie Staley is an old dog. I mean, obviously he's a vet. He's good, but he's old. Kevin Zeitzel is old. He's been, he's 33 years old. He's been playing for a long time. So there's a couple guys already off the board. Obviously, you drafted Fashanu. Joe Alt's gone. J.C. Latham's gone. I'm kind of just I'm pulling hairs, twisting straws to decide who I would rather go with between Cooper Beebe from Kansas State or Kingsley Sumataya out of BYU. They're pretty much right around the same, 325, 322, 6'6", 6'4". I think I'm going to go with the guy out of BYU. I know Cooper Beebe's getting a lot of hype. I just feel the gentleman out of BYU, he's more agile. Right. He's I think he runs a 5 flat 40 for a guy that's 300 something pounds. So he's got good footwork and technique. I think what they need to fix the guy up front, especially with giving Jackson a contract extension, and now everything I'm hearing with Monken in that they're going to be throwing the ball more. They want to be airing out. That they need to protect the QB. I think this gentleman out of BYU is a good asset for them in the future to keep Lamar Jackson healthy and upright.
And there was a short release today on the Toilets to Titles network on YouTube with Lamar, or maybe it's coming out tomorrow. By the time you're listening to it, it may be today. Right? Where Lamar's talking about airing it out and how excited the wide receivers see it. That might just be training camp talk because everybody's excited during training camp.
Right.
But he's talking about, Odell Beckham's got a smile on his face. Rashad Bateman's got a smile on his face. Zay Flowers got a smile on his face. Under Todd Monken, they plan on throwing that thing. If you got an offensive tackle who can keep your quarterback in the pocket, that helps, man. So, I like where it's trending. Jared, you were on the clock.
Well, I was laughing the whole time because I mean, great minds think alike. Me and Nino have spent a lot of time together. And I was sitting there, I'm like, if I'm not going to get to type Cooper Beebe right now, I'm going to be so upset.
The easy of the 2 names you got to type. Congratulations. I had to type the hard name.
Yeah.
So I wasn't typing I would have just copied and pasted the other name. So I really think Cooper Beebe really fits the mold for that offense, to be honest with you. He's the Southern Country boy, absolute banger. You know what you're going to get. He reminds me a lot of John Michael Smith's play style, even though he's not a center. But nobody messed with Smiths, and nobody messed with BB. So I feel like if BB was a senior last year, he'd have been a dude at the Senior Bowl. So that offensive line was good because of him, and I think that he's a perfect match for that team. So that's what my pick is.
I love it. Offensive line getting some love. KT, you're on the clock for the Green Bay Packers, and this is from the New York Jets, assuming everything works out with Aaron Rodgers. They get this selection, so go ahead.
Xavier Worthy, wide receiver, Texas.
I got sniped. I was about to say, before you made the selection, there are 4 guys left that I had 5 guys on my list. Jeremiah Trotter being one of them. He went the first selection. After that, no one else got taken up until that selection. So I mentally jinxed it. But all right, so there's a wide receiver I'm considering. There's a running back. There's 2 running backs I'm considering, and there's an offensive lineman I'm considering. Now, do they resign Tony Pollard? I don't know. That's a big question. Does Brandon Cooks find a home in Dallas? If so, does Michael Gallup keep his home in Dallas? Because they really don't owe him much after this year. So they might still need a wide receiver. So they might need a wide receiver. They might need a running back. Tyron Smith is always getting hurt. Terrence Steele is a free agent after this season. They might need an interior offensive lineman. So Jerry Jones has Arkansas ties. That leads me to think of a running back. they have experience hitting with an Ohio State running back, which leads me to think of a running back.
Okay.
So that's why
I have love for LSU wide receivers, which leads me to think about, so
it's right here. It's right there.
If I'm in the draft board right now, if I'm in the draft room in Dallas, I'm having a hard time. I'm considering trading back because there's a few guys I like here. The smart selection would be offensive lineman, but I think I'm going to go Travion Henderson out of Ohio State, picking 27 with Tony, because I think I like Rocket Sanders, but I think if they let Pollard go, the offense they run with Tony Pollard, it's going to be easier to fill Henderson into that role than it would be to fill Sanders into that role. So I'm going to go with Travion Henderson here at pick 27, and that leaves Nino, you're on the clock.
The Bengals. Which way to go? I feel like they got an insurance policy with Chase Brown in case they do decide to move on from pick 26. What does that mean?
I had Dallas moving up to pick 26 at Travion Henderson.
Wow.
I literally have it on my list. I literally cannot hide this.
That's funny.
All right, so same brain. Great minds do think alike.
That's right. So like I was saying, they got Chase Brown as insurance policy in case they decide to move on from Joe Mixon, right? And they also got 2 insurance policies in case they decided, all right, we'll let T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd go, or we'll trade whoever we want, because obviously both of them aren't going to be back. So they got Charlie Sizzle Jones and they got Izolovis from Princeton this past year. So exactly, hands and speed. They got both backup plans, I believe, for whoever does depart from Cincinnati. So I think the wide receiver department is looking good. The offensive line, they brought guys in. Obviously, Orlando Brown Jr. is the key guy. But, the other gentlemen are getting a little bit older. Alex Kappa, Ted Karras, they're not the youngest bucks either. But I think, they're still in the contract for a few more years. And I think at the level of talent at the O-line position after Cooper Beebe, I think you might see a fall off. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and address the linebacker room.
Ooh.
Because I feel I like Logan Wilson a lot. And we saw a little flash of, Jermaine Pratt last season. But they addressed the D-line position with Myles Murphy, so they don't need to worry about that. They put him opposite Trey. I believe they go linebacker here. And they're going to go
I'm listening, bro.
I'm going to go with Jared's guy, Danny Stutzman out of Oklahoma. You want to talk about an absolute versatile linebacker who can attack, right? Get in the backfield, can play in coverage. He had pass defenses this year. He had a good grade for PFF. Danny Stutzman is a guy a lot of people are sleeping on. If you look at him down the stretch for Oklahoma, he turns it up, man. He had close to 100 tackles, right? Boom, did he have over 100 tackles?
Yeah, over 100. I had 130.
Yeah, so, and he had like 7.5 tackles for loss or something. The dude was an absolute monster. So Danny Stutzman is my pick, and I think he fits the Bengals scheme and helps them, put pressure. So that way they don't have to be, relying on Joey Burrow all the time. That defense can get turnovers and get in the backfield.
I like it. I'm gonna do. He's my guy. So
that sounds like a created player name, Danny Stutzman. Like when you play when you play Madden and you make it past the first year and you're scouting the players and
right.
Danny Stutzman. Out of all the names we've read in this draft, that name sounds the fakest.
He's an absolute character too, man. That dude be interviewing everybody just randomly.
Says it's a fake name. I love it.
Well, it's just Madden. I'm just Madden brain.
Yeah,
right now.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. You get it. Because you can't make up Andrew Makuba. That's not a fake name. Quinn Ewers, but Danny Stutzman.
No.
Hey, I'm telling you, Danny Stutzman's the next Curtis Lofton. So, and he was a dude. He was a dude for the Saints.
Jared, you're on the clock for the 49ers.
Man, I have a problem here, right? Because obviously my brother's a massive 49ers fan. I feel like there's going to be a drop-off defensively. How does it not with my guy leaving, right? D'Amico is a game changer, right, on the defensive mind side. right? Have a really solid linebacking core, really, really great defensive backs. I think you're going to see Debo either move on or something, because I don't know how much longer you can pay the guy.
Ayuk.
Right? I like Ayuk, but again, he's in that position where he wants to get paid too.
Yeah.
And you're not going to pay both of them. So it's, we've got a quarterback who I said was the worst trade in NFL history. So I will stand by this. I love Brock Purdy. You don't throw 71% without it. But the problem is we talk about the drop off. But I'm luckily my guy didn't draft. Where's he at? Where's our lineman? The other lineman we were talking about, you and me.
Kingsley. Me?
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think Kingsley. It's time. The number one offensive lineman in football, right? Plays for the 49ers, and he's getting old, right?
Yeah.
And I love him, but so you got to get his replacement, right? Williams is an absolute.
Yeah, Kingsley's gone.
I drafted Kingsley to the Ravens. That's why you got Cooper Beebe, bro. Come on.
Yeah. You're right.
He's messing with you.
And now I'm toast, dude, because that's really the only guy I really want. Oh my gosh, bro. I think if I'm that far back, I'm in a different position. I think I'm going to trade back if I can. So, that's I think, and I know people don't want me to do that, right? In our draft here, but I don't think if you're in this position, do you go after guys? You watch Xavier Worthy come off the board.
There's a damn good wide receiver out of LSU who's still available.
Yeah, Neighbors is still on the board.
Neighbors.
And that defensive line.
And he reminds me of your boy CeeDee Lamb.
Taylor. You put Leonard Taylor out of Miami on that defensive line for the 49ers, bro.
Do you think that's what they're going to do with who they have already? Like, I mean, that's my biggest issue with them. They'll be great. So, and this is so tough for me because
how many years do you think McCaffrey has left? Right?
Well, none. So that's why Travion.
Raheem Sanders.
So Raheem Sanders is 100% my pick here.
Rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm really shocked that you didn't pick him when he's available for.
I'm glad we're having this discussion because which Travion Henderson are we going to get? Are we going to get 2021 Travion Henderson, or are we going to get something similar to what we got last year?
Yeah, and I would love. You obviously know my guy's Braylon, right?
Hold on, don't talk about my next pick. I got it. You good?
Yeah,
you keep it peace.
But I don't think he fits the scheme. Is the only reason why Sanders over.
My thing with Sanders, I like Sanders. He's a downhill runner, but I see breakaway speed 50% of the time. He's got space. It's like the times he shows breakaway speed, he's out. But I've also seen him caught by guys that shouldn't be catching him. I don't get it. Like I don't see the.
That's a fair assessment.
But he's been catching the ball every year. His receptions have been going up. I love him.
I love him for a zone running scheme like the 49ers run.
Yeah,
you could
just he needs
find space and go.
He needs the scheme.
Yeah.
The only problem here is I was really trying to mess with Nino again, and you guys didn't let me do it. So we have to go to Raheem. Raheem Sanders. So
all right, KT, you're on the clock for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, like I say, Travion Henderson. I hope we do get what we got 2 seasons ago. I know him and the coaches talk. I know him and his running back coach talk as well. So I'm hoping that's what we get. Mayan Williams is a starter as of now, and then they still got Dallin Hayden. I forgot the other kid's name. They got running backs for days. But Braylon Allen was going to be my pick for numerous of reasons. One, he was a grown man when he entered college. 17 years old, by the way. He was a grown man when he entered college. 2, he played in cold weather. I think what the Bills are trying to do this year is still a running back by committee. I don't know how many years they're going to do this until they decide to get them somebody that's a home run hitter, somebody that has decent speed when they get to the outside, and somebody a bruiser between the tackle. So the pick for the Buffalo Bills is Braylon Allen. It has always been Braylon Allen.
A running back out of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really can't go wrong, especially one who was as productive as he's been.
He's a dude, bro.
Now, hey, Now, what happens if they get Dalvin Cook?
Oh, whoa. You still on this?
Dalvin Cook's not going to be a Minnesota Viking week
You
one.
think the Bills could get Dalvin Cook?
I think he only wants to
Oh,
go.
if the Bills could get Dalvin Cook, then yeah, I would go in another direction. Maybe Troy Franklin, maybe Romo Doones. I would go in wide receiver direction because I believe number 13, Gabe Davis, is going to be on a very short leash. And
He's been on a short leash.
Hey, they got their wide receivers, Dalton Kincaid.
Boom!
Fired. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. I do like Khalil Shakir though. I think he's going to have a good season this year.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In the slot, he's going to take over McKenzie, correct?
Yeah. McKenzie's gone.
Yeah,
so. And he should have been. I ain't gonna say that, but if you know, he should have been starting over McKenzie.
Do all of you guys have Braylon Edwards over
Braylon
Allen over Donovan Edwards?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love Donovan Edwards.
Yeah, I think
I got it close. Edwards can play. Edwards is the dude.
Edwards can play. Edwards is the dude. My only thing with Edwards is the last 4 games that he was put on a pedestal. He did it when that offensive line was done. I mean, the defensive line was gassed. They literally manhandled all those 4 teams down the stretch, and he was breaking them in the 4th quarter. Like most of his big runs weren't early. It was all at the end when everybody was dead.
But sometimes that's the style of a physical running back. A bruiser.
Look at Blake Corum. Blake Corum.
That's not his style though.
But he can play. He runs inside. What do you mean?
But he's the more. I think he's the more shifty of the two.
He's physical too, man. He played inside and was banging.
Hey, you hear my guy talking good about Blake Corum because that dude was hating on that dude preseason last year.
I like Corum for college.
I'm not a Corum guy. I'm just saying. I saw it. I'm not blind, dude. I could see it on the field, right? Like he did it.
That's another one that scares me. 2 teams that can have running back by committees. I don't know.
I'm Edwards over Corum. So I believe what KT said, you can only be on one. So.
Yeah. You can't be both. It's one or the other.
But that's good for NFL teams if they're distributing the carries, because these guys, if they're worthy of being on an NFL roster, like you're going to see Roschon Johnson, he's going to be fresher because, and I think Donovan Edwards is a better player than Roschon Johnson, but he's going to be fresher because he didn't get the touches. So Edwards is going to come into the NFL fresher. And then now, if we want to talk about TreVeyon Henderson, he isn't the starter on the depth chart, but he didn't transfer. He didn't quit competing because he's not number 1 on the depth chart. He stayed there, which makes me think like he must feel like he's got a shot to take it. But
yeah, I don't know why Dallin Hayden stayed there because he's 4th on the depth chart now. They got Chip ahead of him, so I don't know.
The thing with Michigan, I will say, it's not like any other one of these last 2 or 3 years dual running backs that go to the NFL, right? Like, there's not the second guy is not have more positive production per Blake Corum was almost 7 yards per carry. I mean, Donovan Edwards was 6.1 or whatever it was, but they both did it. Like they did it in different ways, but they did it on all these other teams that run it back by committee, or when you go to A-Chain and Spill.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
The backup was outperforming them, and people just wanted to wear blinders to it. You know what I mean? Edwards is a dude, but he wasn't outperforming Blake Corum. I just don't trust the knee right now. With a guy that's 100% and showing you that he can carry the load, you would ease him in. But if you ease him in, does Edwards already take off with it? Like, you ain't gonna pull the reins if this dude's going for $150 and 2 touchdowns every week. You're just not doing it. So that's why my concern is with Blake. So I don't, and I just think he's got a lot of wear and tear on the tires. You know what I mean? A lot of wear and tear.
Yeah.
All right, I'm on the clock for the Philadelphia Eagles. Pick 31. If Worthy was still available, I'd consider him here to put him in the slot because you can play Donovan outside. I'm sorry. I'm having a brain fart. You got AJ Brown.
AJ and Slim Reaper.
Yes. Okay. And I would put him in the middle there. But with Neighbors still available, I think he's too similar to AJ Brown. I think they kind of already got that role filled. So I'm not going wide receiver. I'm considering corner because I think Bradbury's getting up there in age. They already thought about not bringing him back. I think I wouldn't be surprised if next year they follow through with getting rid of both corners. So they could need a corner. I'm not super familiar with the cornerback class. I know that, Kool-Aid's already gone. There's a corner out of Florida, Jason Marshall, but he doesn't have too much ball production. Now, I haven't watched enough film on him yet, so I don't know. Is that because quarterbacks aren't targeting him, or is that because he's just not getting production, the opportunities? I know he had 29 tackles. I think he had a quarterback hurry, a quarterback sack, an interception. So I'm considering there, but also I'm considering safety because they brought in Sidney Brown, and I think Sidney Brown will sit in the box. He's going to be your box downhill player because dude's Mighty Mouse. Like, we saw him at the Senior Bowl. He was carved out of stone, and I want a deep safety who can get around, because when Philly's been hurt, it's because their starting safeties were hurt and then they were getting gashed up the middle, and they're shoring that up with Sidney Brown, and they didn't put too much draft capital into him. So I don't think that convinces them to move away from taking a safety in the first. So I think I'm going to go Javon Bullard, the safety out of Georgia.
Bro, right? You sniped me back-to-back picks, dude. Like, just straight. But that's all right, because I had a backup for this one. That's all right.
All right. So you're on the clock for the last pick in the draft, Kansas City Chiefs.
And it's funny because I haven't been really a fan of anything out of the U in years, probably since, like, I don't even. It's been a long time. Like, Ray and Ed might have been the end of it, but they had, like, the running backs when it was McGahee, and Gore and all them guys coming out of that. That's when it was. Yeah. They take away the chain. They take away the smoke coming out the tunnel. You're taking away the U. It's not the same, right? Bring the chain gang back. Let them ball out and do their thing. But this year, that defense is solid. I don't know what Chris Paul is going to do on the offensive side of the ball. There's a lot of question marks. Mallory's gone, so can you fill that hole? But like I said, I'm a huge fan of Leonard Taylor. I told D now about him, and he's like, "Yo, I'm a believer. Watch the tape." And he was like, top 5 on the line, guaranteed this year. But they got a guy in a safety position that I've been on for a while. I liked him last year, and I think he's just going to dominate this year. His name is Double K, Cameron Kitchens. This dude, you want to talk about reading receivers, mirroring receivers, about playing safety? A dude who can literally turn your helmet, make you look out the side of your ear hole. Like, and he is instinctive. You don't even see him, and then all of a sudden you think you got the ball at the goal line or the 1 or 2, and he's plowing you or picking it off. I've seen him multiple times last year. He had picks last second coming out of nowhere and get him. This guy has a high football IQ. He's a straight old school football player, dog, like in your neck, snot bubbles type dude, but he can cover and not just lay the wood. Double K is my pick for Kansas City.
So are you now? I'm not going to put him in the same category completely, but are we talking Sean Taylor vibes?
I get slight vibes. It's hard for me to even put anybody, but the
not anybody. I agree, 100%.
Play coming from the U, like the style of play, yeah. Like Sean Taylor was a free. Like they gave him free spirit, let him do whatever he wanted to do out there.
They didn't give it to him. Sean Taylor, yeah. Sean Taylor stepped on the field and did whatever.
They trusted him, so they let him do whatever he wanted to do because they knew, like, he wasn't going to make. This kid doesn't make mistakes, and he is everywhere. He just, if you watch him, he just roams. And for playing in Miami, like between Taylor and Kitchens, man, I'm all in on their defense. I don't know about the offense, but their defense, I'm all about it. I think that shows up Kansas City though, because they just went youthful at defense with Felix and Duque Uzuma, right? They got him the year before. They got Karlaftis. So now you're pairing them with Bolton, Willie Gay. You just signed a young guy in Drew Tranquil, right? You have Leo Chanel that you drafted last year. Those guys have only been in the league a couple years, so that's all youth, right? Trent McDuffie was your first-round pick last year. Some people like Snead. Some people don't like Snead. It is what it is. But at the safety,
you got Snead and Watson.
Yeah.
And Thornhill just left.
Right. And then your safeties is only cooking. I'm not a big fan of Justin Reed. I think he's I like to call people Katy Perry, get you hot and cold when we get good, when we can not. He you don't know what you're getting. It's a hit or miss. So I think with this kid, you're locking up that secondary for a couple of years. So I'm with it.
I love it. I love it.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. Tomorrow, I'm gonna get this mock draft cleaned up, written up, posted on the website, toiletstotitles.com. And then next week for episode 20, we're going to go in on this mock draft. We're going to break it down. I'm sure we're going to do a few more over the next few months leading up to the NFL season and then throughout the NFL season. So make sure you're subscribed to Toilets to Titles Let us know who we're too high on, who we're too low on. Throw us a few comments, throw us some likes. Stay tuned next week. And does anybody have anything to say before I send this thing off? Looks like we're good.
Yeah, we're good to me.
We're good. All right.